Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Morning Sam, Morning Ralph podcast. This, of course, is the Restaurant Technology Professionals podcast. We like to think of ourselves as a resource for restaurant tech people that want to kind of stay in the know and think about how they can better market their solutions, how they can better be more attractive, say, to restaurant brands, and learn more from the community. And today, I've got a really cool special guest from the other side of the pond. His name is Adam Foreman. He is the CEO of CaptiveWiFi. And I kind of bumped into Adam through a mutual friend, Richard Liverman, who is this really cool cat that does a lot of mentoring and leadership coaching. And he's like, "Oh, you got to talk to Adam because this guy is not only is he a restaurant technology guy, but he's just a really good, smart person, and he's doing amazing things for his clients. He's got super cool tech, so you got to talk to him." Awesome. We have Adam Foreman on the show today. It's all about how smarter Wi-Fi can build stronger restaurant brands. And you say to yourself, smarter Wi-Fi.
Morning, Ralph. Morning, Sam.
How can smarter Wi-Fi build a stronger restaurant brand? Well, it's actually quite intuitive. So let's welcome to the show, Adam Foreman. Welcome to Morning Sam, Morning Ralph, man. It's awesome to have you here.
Thank you for having me. I'm super excited. I have not done a podcast across the pond for a little while. So, yeah, it's just after lunchtime for me here. So I've just finished my lunch and it's morning time for you, I'm assuming. So,
Yeah, it's morning time for me. I've already been to, I've been to the gym. I've walked the dogs, man. I'm like, let's go. I'm ready to talk to
you're ready.
Adam, and
You're
I'm ready.
Yeah. And by the way, Richard Liverman, it was very nice. That was a very nice intro. I will definitely be paying him later for the honor of that lovely intro.
Well, thank you. Yeah, he really is a sweet guy.
Yeah.
All right. So I want to hear more about CaptiveWiFi. And by the way, we'll put all the show links, of course, at the end, but CaptiveWiFi.com. Tell me about how did CaptiveWiFi start, and what did you see as what was the core value proposition in its inception?
So it's an interesting story. Things get built sometimes when there's a problem to fix. And so on my other side of the business, I do IT. So we do tech for restaurants, like tech and stuff like that, right? So we were reselling another product and it was all right. It did well. We were making some money out of it and so on. And the lovely pandemic happened. Obviously, no one went to restaurants. And towards the end, after our last lockdown, all our clients were calling us saying, "Can you turn the customer Wi-Fi back on?" So, we've got the technology, we turned it back on and it was broken. So I was freaking out because all my customers, we got loads of food halls we work with, loads of QSRs, loads of casual dining, lots of walk-in restaurants. And they're all freaking out because they don't have bookings. So where do you get this data from? And over here, the cell signal is terrible. And you need to get on the Wi-Fi, just generally. I mean, a bit like some areas of New York's like a Faraday cage, some areas, right? So you're always on getting into the Wi-Fi. So my client called me, giant food hall. There's 1,800 capacity. It's called Curb, Seven Dials Market. In fact, they've got one in San Francisco called Soval, which is with IKEA. And it's one of their first joint ventures. And they called us and said, "Can you turn it all back on? It's not working." And I said, "Yeah, it's on." So they said, "It's not working. Come." So I ran down there. It's 20 minutes from my office. And this little box that was there was just like fried. It'd been left for like 2 years and a bit, doing nothing. And it's just like sat there, this poor little piece of hardware. So they called me and said, I called them and they said, should we just go with someone else? I said, no, give me 24 hours. I'm not a coder. I'm not a developer, but I do like to tinker with Zapier and a bit of code here and there and so on. So I went online, went onto GitHub, pulled some scripting down. Yep. We've got Unify hardware, which is a little disc with a blue light that most people see in restaurants and stuff. And I found a way of plugging it in. It was terrible. It was the worst thing you've ever seen in your entire life. It was like this word, you go to a hotel sometimes and there's big forms come up, and like the huge form, and and you sigh. You feel depressed because someone wants your date of birth and your life story.
Right. I just want to get online.
Right. I just want to click, point, and go. So our original splash page was actually same design from By Chloe, which was one of the first vegan brands in the US.
Hmm.
It was a very popular vegan brand back in the day. They died a little slow death, unfortunately. And we worked with them over here. And I had that design. So I put the design up and it works. So you connect to the Wi-Fi. It was horrible. Yeah, did this little squiggly thing that tells you it was connecting.
Well, let me, no, that's okay. Because I want to get to the point of, connecting to a restaurant's Wi-Fi. It feels so, ubiquitous now where, okay, we go to a restaurant, particularly here in the US, and just about, if you're a restaurant that you're able to sit down in, generally speaking, you offer a guest Wi-Fi experience. And very often when you log into these systems, it could be one of those situations where there is that sigh.
Yeah.
Right. Where you're like, oh, Jesus, like, I just want to get online. Like,
Yeah.
I don't want to, you don't need my date of birth. You don't need, ask me all of these different questions. Just get me online.
Yeah.
And what the different, and I think what CaptiveWiFi, because I've taken a look at your product and we're going to show some screenshots later on, but the idea was you have this you get people online and boom, once they connect to their Wi-Fi, you're now connecting them into their loyalty program.
Yeah. So I think the main thing that we did is that from that journey of that horrible design, we went to a digital agency and we spent time and thought process on how should it look, right? It should be in keeping to the customer's brand. It shouldn't be powered by X and Y because you know what? Who cares? Who cares if it's powered by X and Y? So if you visit the customer's website or you go outside, you look at the menu and then you connect to the Wi-Fi, it should be in brand. So what we did was we spent a lot of money with the digital agency and a lot of research, and we looked at Typeform. Now you've used Typeform before, I'm sure.
Of course.
We use it for our customers. Hundreds of them, they make millions of dollars a year on the concept of the flow of questions. And the reason why the flow of questions works is because psychologically there's an end in sight. So we started to build that journey. So email address, name, and then either just connect it. But if you want to ask questions like cell number, you want to ask date of birth, you can, you don't have to. Some customers just want the name and email and then let the customer in. So what we built was this beautiful flow of a journey. And I was at a client the other day and they said, I was at a client the other day in a meeting and the woman in front of me was connecting to the Wi-Fi and I just sort of peeking over, looking what she was doing. And at the end, she connected and she went, that was easy. And I wanted to go up to her and give her $50 and say, can you just do that again? So I can record that. Yeah, because I'd never heard, it's nice to hear that it was a nice journey. And then, so one of the things we focused on once we did that was obviously we plugged it into some CRM platforms like MailChimp and ActiveCampaign. And then we realized, one of the biggest things in hospitality, building a sense of community and building a sense of loyalty. So you speak to some high-end restaurants and you mention loyalty and they freak out because we don't want to loyalty. It's not about the points. We're not that sort of company. So then I say to them, well, you want to build community, right? Yeah, we want to build community. We want people to come back and use our venue and we can track them and understand. So I said, well, that's the same thing as loyalty, but it's how you want to show it.
Right.
So we started to build
this initial idea that a lot of restaurants out there think loyalty means discounts.
100%.
Points, discounts, rewards, discounts, less profit. And it's no, that's not what I love about your solution. And what I would advise everybody to check out with CaptiveWiFi is that, and you mentioned this, it's a brand feeling, right? So when you do log in and you're already inside of this, the atmosphere of the restaurant, you're there in that restaurant probably because you want to be. You're there because you enjoy that place. And when you do go online, you want that to be a consistent feeling, right? So that's what it is. And through that journey of the sign up, you're creating this experiential journey, right?
Yeah. I think
that's what creates the loyalty. I mean, it's that feeling. It's the feeling, that attachment.
You're right. And also, we recently allowed you to stop the connect to the internet button come up. So some people wanted to display a really cool sort of social ad with their new products that they had. Like really nice restaurant, really good food. and there's like sushi and teppanyaki and all this sort of stuff. And now they're just 2 seconds, just postpones you for 2 seconds. So you connect the internet, and then this beautiful video comes up with all this new menu and so on, and the guy behind the sushi bar doing some really cool stuff. And then boom, it's straight into the connect the internet button and the flow through. And I think one of the things that we looked at with really important is so the loyalty thing's great. And one of the things we did with the loyalty piece is when you've connected to the internet and you're through to that end page, most people just redirect you to Instagram or to the website. Now the redirection is just pointless, right? That redirection end up being a waste of space because 2% of people will follow you. You don't want to force anyone, do you? Force someone to connect to the Wi-Fi. You don't want to force anyone. If you click on Zoomer's got an awesome video. There we go. So on this landing page, what we did is we allowed you to put buttons. So we basically created a dupe of Linktree. So on that landing page, when you finish connecting to the internet, and you'll see here in a second, they've got story. That story can go to the story. They actually have menu now on there as well. And you can add function buttons and promos as well. So you want to show, when you get to the end page, you've got a couple of seconds before. If you're on iPhone, you press done. And so you might want to add it to the order at pay solution. You press the button, you don't have to scan a QR code because you're straight through. And with the loyalty piece with Patronics, we're just finishing Incentivio at the moment. We've just done Square. That landing page shows you how many points you have and lets you download the wallet there and then. So within 15 seconds, you've connected to the internet, you're on the Wi-Fi, and unlike other platforms where you end up just being a person on a database, you now end up being a loyalty or a transaction, a piece within the business. So then when you come back, say, for example, you want to allow people to have, I don't know, say you're a coffee shop and you want to give someone you do want to give someone a couple of points for connecting to the Wi-Fi. You can trigger that automatically. Or if someone's connected for 30 minutes and then has to reconnect, you can use that loyalty platform, whatever you're using, to trigger a message to the wallet or to their phone to say, hey, you're still here. Do you want a free pastry? Have a free pastry. I'll give you a free croissant.
Oh,
Just
I
grab a
love
copy.
that. So you're basically enticing people to stay longer. You're offering them, again, and it might be, and perhaps it's it's a reward or an offer to stay now, but maybe it's also something for another time, like bring a guest back, right?
100%.
So I guess, the promotions are kind of endless, I think.
I think the thing is as well is that we work with some really cool tools that have the smarts built into them. So they look at the average visit of the customer. So the challenge you have with QSRs and casual dining restaurants that don't have that many bookings is that they're walk-ins and they're gone. You don't know who they are. So they're just lost. And lots of other podcasts in the US and as well as here, they say when someone walks in, try and get their email address, try and have the conversation. Doesn't always work. You know what I mean? They're not always going to say, hey, while I've got you, let me get your email address. So for next time, unless you get the good waiter or the good receptionist, it's unlikely you have that. So we've got a Cuban grill we work with. They're on 15 locations in the US, and they are killing it with the amount of data that they have. And one of the nice things that we do as well, they use 7rooms. So we plug into 7rooms. So not only does the data go into the CRM, but 7rooms have their own CRM too. So we flow the customer visit from the Wi-Fi into the reservations platform, and then they can start sending messages from there.
Let's not get ahead of ourselves because because there's a logical flow here. The first thing that a restaurant's trying to do is create a significant audience capture for their loyalty, right? Because listen, you can have a loyalty program, but it's not going to mean a damn thing unless you have critical mass in terms of, how many people you can reach to where it's actually going to move the needle. A couple of months ago, I had this really brilliant woman on the pod, Olga Lapategi, and I'm going to butcher her last name, and she knows that. It's not an easy last name. But Olga is, I believe, a restaurant loyalty specialist. Go check them out. And she helps restaurant brands all over the world with their loyalty programs. And I asked her, Olga, what's kind of the baseline for a restaurant to really be able to move the needle with a loyalty program? And she said, you got to capture 15% of your customers. At least 15% of your customers, have to be in your program in order for your loyalty communications to really kind of reach, to move the needle. Okay. So you think about all the different ways in which a restaurant can acquire customers for their database. And that's where I think captive Wi-Fi is such like the biggest no-brainer. And whether it be your solution or a competitor, but the idea of capturing somebody right then and there inside of the location, I mean, that's like a no-brainer, isn't it?
I think the main thing is, right, is one, when someone does nothing. So a lot of restaurants, and you've said this before as well, that people have lots of data and they don't do anything with it. So
Yeah.
there's businesses on the high end scale, on the high end restaurant scale. I get it. You're not going to send an email once a month. You might send an email every so often, but you can get a good loyalty platform that can do the triggers and the smarts for you, that just does the work. You get on with what you need to do and let it do the birthday reminders, let it do the automation. So we collect date of birth, it's sending the message for you. I mean, one of the biggest things and the biggest drivers, and now Fishbowl is back as Fishbowl. They were the
Right.
first creators of the birthday reminder from the beginning.
Oh yeah, I remember it well.
Yeah.
Sure.
So that's one of the biggest pieces. And we have a client over here that we switched on a little while ago. We got access to the CRM and they had 1.2 million email addresses and 450,000 cell numbers. That's a lot of data.
That's
And I
a
logged
big-
in and no automations, no birthday reminder. And when I spoke to the owner, I was like, I wasn't angry. I was nice and calm, but I was passionate, let's just say. I was like, why isn't this on? He goes, I don't know what you're talking about. I've never accessed it. We had someone, they don't hear anymore. I don't have time. I'm an operator. So this is what we get a lot. Or even the marketing department are too busy because, and this is a comment that one of my colleagues said.
Shame on them, first of all.
Well, you're like, yeah, 100%. You're like this comment. Marketers are too busy making an out of order sign because the operations tip for the toilet. When the toilet's out of order, but the messaging has got to be right. So they're making the out of order sign that has to have the right logo, the right messaging. And they're like, oh, I've got to send I've got to send an email out to the whole database. But hold on, head of ops has just told me that our toilet's out of order. I need to get the right messaging because it can't just be a sticker. So then that email goes out the window, the loyalty thing goes out the window, and the list of things they're meant to do goes out the window because ops have told them, because they've told them, I'm going to put a sign up. And they go, no, has to be the right messaging.
It has to be brand.
So
yeah,
has to be on brand, has to be the right wording, has to be on spec, has to be laminated, all this sort of stuff, make it look right. Otherwise you
and
could
you're
just
losing focus on why you're even there to begin with. And that's, that is a problem. I mean, listen, every single marketing team out there is doing more with less. And that seems to be a challenge that they face practically every month that goes by. There's more to do with less. But still, it always makes sense to step back as a team and think about priorities.
Well, that's so one thing I will say, one of the things so listen, I'm the founder. I'm speaking to all our clients still. We've got a little team here. We're on the online chat all the time. I literally spoke to a client in Massachusetts about an hour ago who basically went on the online chat and said, my boss has asked me to look for a system. We have 450 people a day coming through our bakery. I don't know anything about this, but I've just found you online. Can you help me? And I said, sure. I sent them a link and it's gone to buy a box of Amazon for $100.
Yep.
And he goes, I'll call you when I've got it. So he'll probably have that tomorrow and we'll set them up in 15 minutes, literally. And that's it. And that's the path to entry. So the path to entry for the loyalty piece as well is what all we have to do is get two pieces of information from a customer, email, name, and then activation activated and, done already. So it's,
All right. So let's shift gears for a second here, Adam, and talk a little bit about marketing automation, right? So you have all of these different ways and means in which to get customers into your database. One of those, of course, is capturing them right at the Wi-Fi spot. So you get these data feeds into their CRM, and it could be their CRM of their choice. The loyalty program is going to do their thing, right? It's going to track the purchases and the points and all that thing. But let's talk about marketing automation, like email and SMS and retargeting programs. What are you seeing out there that's been really effective in terms of converting these audience captures into good outbound campaigns?
So one of the solutions that we've been talking about and been speaking to for a while, actually, and it was a link from Sean Walshaw, actually. Aaron Kumar, who works at Incentivio. We've got similar products over here, but there's no point me mentioning them because they're not over there. We have
Yeah.
Paytronics, which is a solution that we plug into. But one of the really exciting ones that we're working with at the moment is Incentivio. And what they do is they give you the choice as the customer to whether you have the wallet, the app, the online, the ordering, whatever you want. You pick and choose which piece you want. And when we connect to them, we convert you into a customer. And then the customer can choose however they want to interact with. Do they want to order online? Do they want to, and you'll collect loyalty points, which either way you go through. And it's an awesome product. But not only that, the nice thing about that is it's got the smarts inside it. So I'm not going to say AI, I'm going to say machine learning. And it's very much that it looks the average view of your customer and the average view of every customer. So the traditional systems like MailChimp and others out there that have basic automation would do something like, if someone visits 5 times, send them an email with a voucher.
Triggers.
But what if you know they're going to come sit on the 6th time? Why would you waste money? So,
Right.
so the platforms like that, and there's another one called TalkBox, which is an Australian product that's in the US as well. They look at the overview of all the data. They look at it all and they go, hold on, this, and this. Okay, so the average view of most customers is 4 visits a month. Well, I'm not going to give someone something on the 5th visit because I know they're going to come on the 5th visit. So they look at the average view and they go, with a bit of smarts and a bit of machine learning, go, okay, so we're going to put the people that we know in jeopardy in so they're not churned, and put them in a bucket. And then we're going to message those people because we know they haven't come. So the average is 4 visits a month. If someone comes twice and doesn't come after X amount of time, they look at the average view and then they'll trigger that message. And it's really clever how that works, because the traditional old school methods are set and forget. You turn it on 5 times, I get a free coffee, yay. But why would you do that if someone's coming anyway, right? It just blows my mind. So there's that one. And the other one we work with they've just finished, did a plug into Toast about 6 months ago, and it's called Leet. And they also do some really clever stuff, but they do gift card as well as loyalty, as well as Shopify. So imagine you're a retail store with an F&B, and you're a coffee company, for example, and you've got a coffee shop, you've got online retail, and then you also do other stuff. So you can, with their platform, you can buy, so we plug into their platform. So we generate you a loyalty member. Great. All done. You could buy a voucher on our landing page, for example, say $50, and you can use that voucher on Shopify, in store, wherever you like, or as a gift voucher. You can use it across multifaceted areas, which is clever. If you think about a restaurant brand that's got some really cool, like Shopify store, because lots of brands are doing that now, whether it's the merch that lots of people are doing, because there's some really there's loads of cool merch out there. So you want to buy merch, you give someone a voucher, they'll buy a cap and a t-shirt for the brand, and then they'll go in store and they'll be able to use it in store. I think just that is unbelievable. But back to what I was saying before, the smarts is the piece that's really interesting, and more of that stuff's coming out.
Yeah, the smarts. I love the way you put that. But really, you're talking about their, segmenting audiences by behaviors and patterns, right? So you're looking at certain behaviors and patterns of these behaviors, and based on those, you're putting, as to use your words, you're putting these guests into different buckets, and you're messaging them accordingly.
Yeah.
And that's the same is true for that as whether you're a restaurant or a retail operation, hell, or even a marketing agency, we can got a pretty sizable database. You come to the website, there's things called buyer's intent, right?
Yeah, but it's the same thing really. You just call it interactions, right?
Interactions.
So interaction is the keyword you're looking at, whether it's whether it's your database, whether it's a retail, whether it's a gas station. These are all interactions, whether it's someone coming in just doing it. We have a partner we work with that just does wallets. That's it, nothing else. Does a basic stamp card on the wallet stuff, and he's plugged into the terminals now. So
when you say wallets, are you saying more like the Apple Wallet, or
like the Apple Wallet? So like if you
stored value, like a stored value.
No, so it's literally just he built the platform just to be wallets and plug into stuff. Okay. It's a really clever system, but he's opened it out now to plug into other tools. So his system is very clever. He can do beaconing as well. So you can put a beacon in. The challenge with wallets, Apple wallets, is you can do a maximum of 10 locations. in that range. With Apple, you can't do more than 100. But if you put some clever smarts behind it and put maybe beacons in there, you can actually send push notifications to the wallets with some clever tech. So he's got this little device. As you walk past a restaurant, it can send a push notification because it knows that your wallet's there. It's some really clever stuff. So he's plugged it into the terminal. So when you go to pay, it flips out and says, "Are you a loyalty customer?" Yeah. Yeah. Or if you go to pay, it checks if the wallet's in your phone and then reports back to their system. So I mean, Toast over here we've got Adyen, which is a payment gateway. Most of the payment gateways allow you to check if the wallet's there. So think about the future of anyone paying that's anonymous, that's got the wallet in their phone. So the wallet can be really powerful on that sort of side. So there's so much out there.
There really is. And that's the trick of it, is that there's so much out there, but there's still blocking and tackling that needs to be done.
Yeah. Integration piece, right?
Well, well, let's talk about that, because that's kind of the natural segue. Is like, okay, so who are you and what are the core pieces of or core aspects of your integrations? Who are you integrating with, and why is it important?
So we're based in the UK, right? So Paytronics came over here a while ago. So we built that. We're actually the only company in the UK that plug into Paytronics, which is pretty interesting, which was nice. They were one of the first integrators to Toast. So we had a flux for coming in for that one. But we have that one. We have Pepper, which is a UK-based loyalty platform. Leet, which is they're based in the Netherlands, but they're plugged into Toast and Lightspeed. And more tools coming in through now. They're the ones that do the omni-channel. We're just finishing Square, which is really interesting. And you'll like this as well, because with Square, obviously have their own loyalty. There's limitations what you can do with it, but it's pretty clever. I have to mention this piece. Square have just released this little tool. If you pay by Apple Pay, within the next 30 minutes after you've paid, if they have loyalty enabled, it will send you the wallet and ask you if you want to install the wallet.
Oh, wow.
Isn't that unbelievable? So then allows you
doing this right on the behalf of the customer, right? So right on behalf of the restaurant brand, rather. So
yeah.
Give me now your clientele is you have some pretty swanky clientele, right? Your restaurants are, I would say, for the most part, fine dining. Is that fair?
To be fair, the website shows more fine dining than we do. But yes, we've got in London, in Mayfair, it's pretty, it's a pretty high end area. And we've got like mass coverage across some of the super high end restaurants.
So you're
across
going
here.
Super high end. You're also family dining, but you have QSR as well.
Yeah, 100%. So we've just rolled out our 3 Black Sheep coffee sites in Texas, and they're doing really well. Actually collecting some really nice data.
Wait, what was the name of that coffee outfit?
Black Sheep Coffee.
Oh my God. All right. So quick story, Black Sheep Coffee. I was in London last year visiting. My son was studying abroad there. And I'm there with my wife and my youngest son. And we're walking around and we keep noticing these Black Sheep coffee kiosks. And there's this line. And I'm like, what the hell's what's going on with Black Sheep? So anyway, we tried it. Best coffee experience we've had. These guys are fantastic. I love the fact that Black Sheep is a client of yours.
Yeah.
That's saying something, man. They're awesome.
They're now 115 locations here, and that's big in the UK. Yeah. They're 3 in Texas with a rollout coming across the board, because you may have felt a little bit extra boosty when you had that coffee, because Black Sheep coffee is only Robusta, which is basically they do other ones as well, but their main trick is Robusta coffee's double strength caffeine. So
maybe that's what it was.
You must have been on a buzz for the rest of the day. On that story,
I think we went right from there right to Madame Tussauds.
You must have been bouncing off the walls.
Yeah,
it probably kept you. Yeah, it probably kept you going.
McCartney a headlock, and
they tricked me about 3 years ago. We worked them for years. A couple of years ago, I went into one of them near my office, and you go into coffee shops, they all recognize you and remember you. And she was an Aussie from Australia, and she was lovely, the manager. And she said to me, "Hey, Adam, you all right?" I was like, "Yeah." She goes, "Do you want a coffee?" And I was like, "Sure. Why not?" She goes, and she winked at her colleagues, little wink like that, and went like that. And I didn't know why. I was smiling away. What would you like? I said, "Oh, I'd love a flat white, please." Great, done. So give me a flat white. Large? And I was like, there's no such thing as a large flat white. It's just a flat white.
Yeah.
And then so like Starbucks, they do a small, medium, large. But unlike Starbucks, they have double strength coffee. So their large flat white has 4 double shots of Robusta coffee. And
knock you
so
right
I
for a
had
loop.
like I had a quarter, and I was being polite, and I left it on the side. And they're like, you're not going to finish the coffee. And I was like, I felt bad. I was like, okay, fine. So I just necked the whole thing down and walked out. I had
Probably
no
had a heart
idea.
attack.
I sat in my office, and my left hand doing this, just literally like that. I'm like, what's going on? Now I'm like shaking. The vein of the back of my neck is like pulsing. The guy's like, are you okay? And I'm like, I don't feel right. I feel a bit like, whew. So I said to the guys, we need to go to the burger place. I said, you're coming. I'm going to burgers on me. Who's coming?
Yeah.
So 2 of the guys came out with me. We went to a place called Honest Burgers, who are awesome. I literally pummeled the double burger down, onion ring. I like I was hungover.
Yeah.
And then I was fine after that. But yeah, when the pandemic hit, I used to have black tea coffee every day.
Yeah.
From having black tea coffee every day to having it none at all, I felt like I was having a withdrawal. I had proper withdrawal symptoms, because I was having normal coffee at home, but the headaches were coming in. So it is awesome coffee, and they do a really good job. I'm excited for the rollout in the US. So yeah, it's really interesting in the US about the franchise model, because you really have a choice over there with who you want to go with. And if it's not working with one, you have the opportunity to flick and change.
Yeah.
And I think, yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome. So yeah. But coffee, we work with Grinds as well, another coffee company, Origin Coffee, who are in New Zealand and the UK. So yeah, coffee company. When I speak to restaurants, I spoke to a
Well,
restaurant
it's
in
the
New
most
York.
natural fit. I mean, coffee, you're gonna chill.
100%.
Most people like to chill. I mean, Americans love their coffee on the run, of course.
Yep.
But overseas, generally it's a sit down experience.
It's an easy one. So the interesting question this was a year and a half ago. So things have changed in a year and a half, because it's tougher now out there, right? You need to be able to bring more customers back. You need to retain your customers. You want to make that visit from 3 times a year to 7 times a year. You want to try and bring them back. So Wi-Fi is a good piece for that. And a year and a half ago, when I spoke to a restaurant in Hell's Kitchen, and they said, hey, so yeah, we're like a casual dining restaurant. We have some reservations. We have lots of walk-ins. I was like, great. I said, what do you have for Wi-Fi? And they have Cisco Meraki, which is a hardware vendor we plug into within like easy. So I was like, sure, let's do it. And he goes, but dude, we're not a coffee shop. And I was like, yeah, you're a restaurant. I said, what's the sales signal like at the back of the restaurant? And it's terrible. It's like the worst ever. Everyone's always asking for the password.
Yeah.
And there was just silence. There's no like light bulb moment that came up at that point. I said, let's just turn it on. Nothing, cost you nothing. Turn it on, see how it gets on. I think after a week and a half, he had like 350 email addresses all opted in. And it was really interesting. But now we bought CaptiveWiFi.com about 6 months ago. And that domain's been around for about 20 years.
Yeah.
And it was only $700. I don't know how I got it. My colleague of mine said to me, Adam, you have to buy it now. And since that, obviously our rankings are pretty high.
Yes.
From that. And since that's happened, we are getting a flux of people just finding it. And I think it's not just that. I think it is, like you mentioned, people want to find better ways of doing stuff with their data. And they don't know how to do it. So when they go online and they search for stuff, this guy, literally, as I said, this guy in Massachusetts just went online, found us. We've got online chat. I don't sleep, right? So time zones, I'm up in the UK time from 7 until about midnight, because I'm getting chats all over the time. How do I do this? Or I found you guys online. How do I set it up? I'm like, here's the help center. We'll do the rest for you. But the nice thing about what we do is it's not like the beam boxes and the others and the purples and so on that are out there. We don't charge you for how much data you have. We don't charge you per access point. It's a flat fee. But we'll chat to you afterwards. Right, you've got all this data. What are you doing with it? And they're like, I don't know. Well, let me link you with someone that I know that can help you. Because we've got a whole database of marketers out there that are just experts. So one of the things we really love to do, if you're churning in data, we'll either say to you, right, what are you using? And if someone says MailChimp, I'll have a little tear in my eye, because it doesn't do much for you. Even there's limitations. So we'll direct them to the right place. There's loads of awesome, hospitality
MailChimp
marketing.
can do a tremendous amount, but it's what you do with it, right?
Yeah.
So I love the fact that you're making connections with people that are experts in their lane. One of the things that I love about my little podcast is that I'm talking with people that are experts in their lanes. And if you're making connections with others that know how to leverage this data on behalf of the restaurant and do it for them in a way that takes, totally removes it from their plate, and yet they're seeing incremental value and lift from the work that's awesome. So you're making connections with marketers. I'm assuming that also means loyalty programs too. Who are you working with on the loyalty side?
So at the moment we've got, we've plugged into, it's Incentivio. We're just finishing at the moment. We have a client in flight, which should go live really soon. I mean, Square loyalty is just no brainer. Like Square's, a colleague of mine's just gone to Australia. He's like, Square's everywhere. I didn't even know they had an existence in Australia. So
enormous. So you're part of the Square. Let's just make sure everybody understands that. If you're on Square right now, you can find CaptiveWiFi in their marketplace.
Not yet. We're just finishing the marketplace thing, but we can. All we need is the API key. So on the developers, you just ticket box them, done, and we're in. And we can allow. You can give points if you have a loyalty tier. You can give points to someone who connects the Wi-Fi automatically, which is pretty nice. And we can add segments as well. So that one's pretty cool. Patronics, massive in the US. Been bought by Access Group. We plug directly into their loyalty tier. So you become a loyalty customer and you can download the wallet. So Patronics is a really nice piece. We have an awesome brand we're working with called Toasty, who are expanding. We're just setting up with them at the moment. And then there are a couple of other ones we have on the list to build. But at the moment in the US, it'll be Patronics and Incentivio. There's some really cool loyalty platforms out there at the moment that are coming. Like, you've probably seen them. There's loads like Lunchbox and others. There's some really clever ones that plug into the credit card machines. You guys benefit a little bit over there because the PCI compliance is a little bit more relaxed. And over here, it's super tight. So there's limitations on what we can do over here on the credit card side, linking that customer. Square do it pretty well, to be honest with you, because it's their payments and they've managed a way around it. But everyone's got different payments. So no one here really has figured out a way of really doing like getting that unique ID and linking that to something. That's all coming here, but you have it over there already. And it's amazing what you can do because you can do stuff with card link loyalty. There's loads that can be done over there. And I think when they see us and they rub their hands and we're going to come to Europe and the UK, and they come over and they just start, they're like, doesn't happen. So
absolute buzzkill with your regulations. But all right, let's wrap this up. I want one question. I'm going to bring back a segment called Hate to Tell You But. And this is where you get to debunk a myth with restaurant loyalty. So Adam, what is your hate to tell you but?
Oh, I hate to tell you. I mean, to be fair, it's hate to tell you, but loyalty does work. To be honest with you, and that's the bottom line because Stone Cold says so. That's basically it, right? Because it works and it brings you business. And if you're not using it, you need to be doing it. And that's it. I have nothing else I really need to say because that is the encompassing piece. If you're not,
if you don't think loyalty works, then you're doing it wrong.
Yeah, 100%. And also, like everyone says, and Sean and the team say, right? Ask for help. There's an amazing community. I think the pandemic changed everyone. Everyone's now available to help you. Before, everyone was cagey. Everyone was super cagey. They wouldn't tell you what their profits were. They wouldn't tell you how bad this week was. Now, everyone's realizing everyone needs to help each other. So, and I keep saying there's 3 degrees of separation in hospitality. So for my link to Richard, to you, from your link to your people, your customers, and everyone really. So someone knows someone who can help you. So one thing I'm going to say is open up your phone, go to the person that you might know that has a restaurant that might be doing loyalty and say, how do you do it? What did you do? Put me in touch. How does this work? That's one thing I will say is all you need to do is go on WhatsApp, go on Instagram, message that person. I guarantee you the response is going to be, oh, sure. Yeah, this guy works here. Because in hospitality, 75 to 80% of people, operators, refer to other operators. No one looks online, unless they sometimes do. If someone's boss says we need to do this, they'll go on to Google. But realistically, they're going to go to someone they know and say, hey, who do you use?
That's right. And every time. every
you know,
time.
so
Adam, this is awesome. How can people find you, and what are you doing next?
So you can find me on CaptiveWiFi.com or on LinkedIn. I'm weirdly available. My direct diary is on my website. So you can book a 15-minute diary with me on my website. And thank goodness it hasn't been like completely spans, but
Yeah.
I'm easily available. That is a 15-minute slot to my active diary. And that's to me, the founder. So you can find me on there. You can find me on hello@captivewifi.com. I respond. You can pop to the website. We've got WhatsApp, Apple Business, web chat, click to call. The Americans love to click to call.
You are
'cause
extremely available.
I don't
Weirdly,
sleep. I don't
extremely
sleep. Don't sleep. The only challenge I have, I think, is mountain time in the US. That's the longest period of time.
Pacific. Those
Right.
poor,
It's just
the left
yeah.
coasters. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the
All
only
right.
thing. But yeah, you can find me easy anywhere.
Excellent. Listen, man, it's always a pleasure. We're connected all the time. We're on Slack together. I love what you do. I love listening to your podcast too. Someday I'm sure you'll return the favor, and I'll talk about all of the wonderful things that we're doing here at Popcorn.
I can't wait. I think I've sent you my link. If I haven't sent you my link, I'll be sending you after this on Slack. So
For
it's
sure,
definitely
man.
not as I definitely need to figure this out, because whatever you have plugged in here, this is awesome. So I give you props for getting this stuff set up, because no one can see what I can see right now, but there's a whole control panel around here with all buttons and everything else. And I'm tech, so I'm pretty impressed on how you have it set up. So you too.
Thank you very much, my brother. All right, brother. Adam Foreman, Captive Wi-Fi. Check him out. This is Morning Sam, Morning Ralph, and we are
Morning Sam.